What's up, everybody? Today's topic is the ultimate protein bar review. That's what's up. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about protein bars. Why do protein bars exist at all? Protein bars have a real job to do in that they are convenient. That's the primary reason they exist. That's what they're good for. That's what they give us. So, whether that's you going on a road trip, you're busy at work, you have a really difficult time hitting your macro goals during the day, you're in your car a lot, you're on the go a lot. That's the real point of these things. They help bridge the gap between meals and bridge the gap in our nutrition. They shouldn't necessarily be something that we use every single day as a daily habit. They're a tool to use occasionally. If you need them every day, that's perfectly fine because there's a lot of us that do. There's been different times in my life where I've had a protein bar every day because of travel schedules, work schedules, and things like that. But it's ultimately not the kind of thing that you should be thinking about. How do I fit a protein bar into my day? Rather, how does my day go? How does my nutrition go? What are my needs? And is there a way to get those needs met with real whole foods? And if the answer is no, that's okay. Protein bars are a super useful way to do that. So let's talk about then what do we need to think about when it comes to protein bars? And I'm going to preface that this isn't going to be a video where I sit here and eat 33 different kinds of protein bars, because as you'll see why, I would spend the next 3 days completely sick, bloated, feeling terrible, and wasting hundreds of dollars, which we're not going to do. What we are going to do instead is think about how do we consider these things? What are ways of categorizing protein bars? What are ways of thinking about them? And then still giving you the top handful of protein bars to actually use for these goals. The problem, though, is that we overuse protein bars. Even protein bars with acceptable macros, they're still highly processed. They're still full of gums, thickeners, sugar, alcohol, some things that our bodies don't love to digest or can't digest, which is kind of the whole point of them. And even whole foods-based bars, which are healthier for us, tend to run higher in calories than equivalent real food options, or tend to be difficult to fit into your macros for the day, depending on what it is. The other thing is that, let's be honest, it's just a rationalization for eating a candy bar. You want a candy bar, so you eat a protein bar and you think that you're making a healthy choice because ultimately you just want a candy bar. We got used to eating candy bars as kids and young adults as like a little snack or a little treat. And these things tell our brains, because they look the same, right? They look just the same as a candy bar. These things tell our brains like, oh, this is a little treat for me. This is a little treat for myself. You're an adult, right? There's lots of different ways to get treats in the given day. There's lots of different ways to cope. There's lots of different ways of enjoying yourself and living a full and complete and happy life that doesn't require you eating candy every single day. And especially doesn't require you eating fake bullshit candy that's not really candy and it's actually this other stuff, right? So we'll talk about that as we go. So most bars aren't even beating a Snickers. Speaking of candy, a Snickers bar is about 250 calories, 12 grams of fat, 28 grams of sugar. Currently, as of today, you can buy them for 76 cents a piece off Amazon. If you line that up against most of these categories, a lot of these bars aren't even beating a Snickers. They're not even beating the nutrition that you're getting, the calories, the cost. And yeah, they're beating the Snickers on pure protein alone, but so what? They're oftentimes still not enough protein to really give you your goals or what you need. And if you're eating enough protein throughout the day, which you should be making sure that your total protein consumption is good anyway. The difference between 4 grams of protein and 12 grams of protein is really just not all that meaningful. So just have the candy bar. If you're craving candy and you really want candy to fit into your day as a snack, just have the candy. Just, try to make sure you're getting your total calories in check and that your total protein's there, and just eat the candy bar instead. But let's talk about the actual protein bars, how we scored them, and how we're going to think about this. So I used 5 metrics for these. I didn't really specify any particular favorites. I just went and found like what are the top 30 or so selling protein bars in America, and then threw a few other ones in there. So what I looked at was price per bar, which is super important, cost per gram of protein, right? The lower cost wins, of course. I'm going to skip this one. The number of flavors that are currently in the lineup, because flavor choice is really important to people. Percentage of daily value of protein. So if you look at the back of the bar, the FDA standard is about 50 grams a day. So if, for example, you had a 25 gram bar, it should show that it's got 50% of your daily value of protein. If it shows less than that, it's because there is a modification that's happening in the calculation that's telling you essentially that the quality of protein in this bar is not as good. You'll see this a lot in bars that include a lot of collagen, because collagen protein is not a very good protein source, is not very bioavailable. You'll also see it in bars that include a lot of like wheat gluten or resistant wheat starch proteins or things like that, because they're not very bioavailable. So what ends up happening with bars like that is it actually reduces the FDA standard. And you'll see, like, for that same 25 grams of protein, instead of showing 50% of your required protein for the day, it might show 45% or 40%. And that's a really good way of knowing, oh, this protein is not a very good quality protein in this bar. Okay, so something to think about there. The other thing is retail availability. How easy or difficult is it to find these bars? Can you buy them off their website only? Can you get them off Amazon? Can you get them in a gas station? Can you get them at a grocery store? So that was considered too. And then how we scored these things is basically 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First place got 5 points. The last place got 1 point. And if you're below that, you get 0 points. That was the scoring system that I utilized. So let's talk about the 3 main categories of bars as the way I think about them and the way I think that you should think about them too. The first one is what I call like a macros-based bar. And a macro-based bar is simple. I am trying to hit my macros. I'm trying to hit a specific goal of protein per bar with the minimum amount of calories possible and the lowest amount of net carbs possible. The characteristics of these bars, they tend to be about 18 grams of protein or more, some as high as like 25 or 28 grams of protein even. But they often come with a lot of sugar alcohols, highly fermentable fibers. They're hard on digestion. They cause bloating. And that's kind of actually the feature of the bar. The reason that they can get such a high protein content for such low calories is because they put a lot of stuff in the bar that they don't have to consider as a caloric load. So whether that's the sugar alcohol or the fibers or allulose or gum blends or things like that, they can say legally that that's 0 calories or that sort of reduces the carbohydrate load. And then they can really just be counting the sugars that they've added, the fats that they've added, or the protein. The problem with that is it's quite misleading because many of those things do have a caloric load eventually within the body. It might not be the full 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate that you would see for carbs, but it's still typically somewhere around 1 to 2 calories per gram of fiber or per gram of sugar alcohol. So it's not quite a 1-to-1, but it's not nothing. So it's important to keep that in mind, is that you're not really getting such a low calorie load from that bar. There will be some additional calories that come along with it. But the reason that they do that, the reason that they put the low net carb in there is because your body can't absorb and digest these things. So on purpose, you're going to be bloated. You're going to feel worse. Your digestion is going to get worse. It's going to have a negative impact on your gut microbiome if you're somebody that worries about that, or you have sensitivities like IBS, Crohn's disease, anything in that nature. You're going to get flared up from these bars badly. And that's kind of, again, the feature of the bar is they put a bunch of stuff you can't digest in it, except for the protein, so that they can show that the macros really hit that. So looking at the top selling macro bars, you've got Pure Protein Bar, the Kirkland Signature bars from Costco, Quest Bar, which is like the most famous ubiquitous bar kind of in the world, probably. You've all heard of that. Premier Protein Bars, Fit Crunch, David Protein Bar, which is a newer bar that's all over the place, like all over the market. A Built Bar, the Kind Protein Max bars. I'm going to leave this up here on the screen for a second so you can review these. I'm not going to read every single one. Then on top of that, I incorporated a bunch of these other bars that are, I call it just a pure sugar alcohol bar because they're just so loaded with sugar alcohols. But you're looking at Bear Bells, Think bars, Optimum Nutrition Crisp bars, a One bar, Grenade Carb Killa, Muscle Farm Combat Crunch, and the Nugo Slim bar. These are all bars that would be considered in these kinds of categories. Right? Statistically speaking, the winner is the Pure Protein bar. The Pure Protein bar scored the highest across the board, got 13 total points. It's easy to find. It's all over the place. It's got really good macros and it covers your needs there. It got 13 points there. The runner-up was the Kirkland Signature bar. 12 points is basically identical. The only issue there is you can only get them at Costco. That's what really hurts that bar's availability. And then a very close third place is a Quest bar. They're essentially the only thing they lose on is cost. So they cost a little bit more than these pure protein bars, and they cost a little bit more than the Kirkland Signature. But they also have a ton of flavors, so you could swap out the pure protein for the Quest. They're pretty similar. My overall recommendation, avoid these bars. Unless you're somebody who has just an iron stomach and you just don't care about the kinds of foods you eat and you can digest anything, it's not a very useful bar to have because there are easier, better ways to hit those macros. But again, if you're somebody that needs to hit your macros, you need the snack, you need to be on the go, one of these bars isn't going to kill you. I will periodically have a bar like this, I would say like 3 or 4 times a year, because they do really upset my stomach, but sometimes I just need a snack. And your boy gets hungry and I want a little bit of taste of protein, and it's easier for me to do that than it is to get chips or something like that at a gas station. Number 2 is the candy bar style bars. So the goal of these bars is they want to taste really good. They want to taste like a candy bar. They're essentially trying to be a candy bar that's just got a little bit of protein in it. They tend to be higher in carbs and sugar because they're not using a lot of the fake stuff. They're not using a lot of the sugar alcohols or high FODMAP fibers or anything like that. They literally just put sugar in the bar or something else like that to make sure that it tastes good. I incorporated 2 kind of like newer entries into this space as well, the Snickers high protein bar and then also the PB Fit protein bars. Those are relatively new to the market. The Snickers one has been available in Europe for a while, but it's challenging to find here in America. And these were compared using the exact same methodology as the previous slides. And what you see here is essentially that we started with Anabar, Bear Bells, Snickers High Protein, PB Fit. Again, I'll leave these up on the screen this way you can get a sense of like what these different macros and things look like. Statistically speaking, the winner was kind of by far the PB Fit protein bar. It covers all of the needs, though Anabar is still excellent. Anabar is a little bit easier to find too, so I think that they're kind of like pretty comparable, pretty easy to switch out, but the PB Fit bar did seem to win across the board. I've never personally tried them, and I'm very excited to try them. But again, where should these go? Post-workout, because it does have the full carbohydrate content, it's a great place to stick a bar like that. If you're doing 2 training sessions a day, having it as a snack in between or as a snack after one of the sessions or after both sessions even can be really useful and appropriate. My overall recommendation, though, is again, this is a candy bar, so treat it like a candy bar. Have it in a time that it makes sense for you to have a candy bar. If you're craving a candy bar, this is a good option to have instead, or in those situations where you're needing some extra carbs in your day. The last category are these whole foods bars, and this is like they're trying to be healthy, right? So these are the bars that they usually look a little bougie, or these are the bars that are sitting in a Whole Foods or an Erewhon or something like that. They're real food. They're minimally processed. There's usually not a lot of fake or ridiculous ingredients in it because they're trying to just mash together a handful of actual food items into something that you could actually eat and feel good about. The problem with these bars is they're often just way too low in protein to even be called a protein bar. Why are you calling yourself a protein bar if you've got 10 grams of protein? If you've got equal protein to fat, it's a fat bar. If you've got more fat than you have protein, it's a fat bar. It's not a protein bar. So let's just call this what it is. It's a healthy little snack. And I'm going to put all sorts of quotes around healthy, all sorts of quotes around clean, okay? This is just a snack. It's something to get you through in between meals or to have when you're on the go. And if you think about it like that and not as a protein bar, because your total protein through the day is what matters most, as long as you're getting your total protein in, it sort of doesn't matter that these don't have enough protein in them. It's just my own nuanced me being a jerk over the idea that you shouldn't even call yourself a protein bar. But they can still be really, really useful. We use the same system to rank these as well. And you see here we have the Cliff Builder bars, the No Cow, the IQ bar, the Aloha protein bar, the Raw Nutrition bar, the Transparent Lab bar, the Legion bar, the RX bar, the Perfect bar, the Rise bar, the Atlas bar, the Nash bar, the Go Macro bar, the Power Crunch bar, the Kodiak protein bar. There's a ton of bars in this category because this is where a lot of the niche brands live. So super useful here to think about. Statistically, though, the winner was the Go Macro bar. It scored the highest in the system. My favorite bar in this category is actually the Nash bar. The problem with the Nash bar is it's really difficult to find. You can't find it anywhere. You have to purchase it from their website, and they only restock once a week, and they sell out all the time. But if you're
you're looking to support a small business and these fit your macros and fit your ideal of what you're looking for, I really do highly recommend them. I think they're fantastic and I utilize them myself on a regular basis. But as a pure, I'm just looking for a snack that covers my needs, that is relatively satiating, that's got some decent nutrition to it. Those Go Macro bars will fit you really, really nicely. Just don't think about it like a protein bar because they're relatively low in protein. Think about it like a whole food snack bar that gets you through in between meals. So, my overall recommendation here is to find something that you like, find something that's good quality, and find something that fits within the scope of the amount of calories that you're looking for the day. One other bar, though, that I want to highlight that would fit into this category really nicely is what's called the Terra bar. It's not out yet. I've been talking to the group that's putting it together. It's going to be a low FODMAP bar, moderate fiber, whole food ingredients, a little bit of added electrolytes for flavor and recovery. It's not on shelves yet, but check this out when it does come out. And I'll try to get it all over my socials when it does come out. This way people can try it because it is almost certainly going to win this category and it will almost certainly win every category because of what it's doing and what they're putting together, which is an actually appropriate amount of protein that is easy to digest, that tastes good, that it's relatively affordable and covers all your needs. So I think it's really, really exciting. And I want to call them out as a really fun, exciting new brand for everyone to take a look at, but they're not out yet. So we'll see how they do. The top 5 overall bars are, as I said here before, the Pure Protein, Kirkland Signature, and Quest. They're all kind of very similar. Any one of those would cover that category. The Premier Protein can kind of be the fourth place there. And if you're looking for something that is, that's low FODMAP or low sugar alcohol or easier to digest, more of a whole food option, the Go Macro bar is great. And again, if you don't care about ordering online, check out those Nash bars, and everyone should look for those Terra bars as well in the future. The cheapest cost per gram of protein of all the bars tested is the Pure Protein bar. So by far, it is the cheapest, easiest to find, and if it fits what you're looking to do, this is the best bar for you to choose. But should we ultimately even be having these protein bars, as I mentioned before? What are some things you can do instead? What are some things you can do if you don't need to worry about the convenience and you do have time to make a little snack or have something at home or bring something to the office with you? Here's 4 options that I think are just as good, if not better, in a lot of ways. They generally sit around 200 calories. They generally sit around that same 15 to 20 grams of protein, and they're made of real food for the most part and generally make you feel better. So first is the Greek yogurt parfait bowl, and that's just like you could do a simple 3/4 cups of Greek yogurt, a little chia, a little mixed berry, a little drizzle of honey. A protein pudding rice cake. So I do recommend protein powders. I love protein powders. I think they have a ton of use. I keep several around all the time, but you can make a little pudding out of it. So stick a scoop of protein and just a little bit of water, like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of water, just enough to kind of like get it moist so you can thicken it. And you end up with this like thick pudding-like thing. A lot of people call it a sludge or a sludge bowl. But you can make a little protein pudding. Spread that protein pudding on top of a couple rice cakes. It's crunchy, it's delicious, it's sweet. It covers all of your needs and your macros really, really well. It's an awesome snack. Having some cottage cheese and fruit. Again, 3/4 cup of low-fat cottage cheese, a little bit of fruit, dash cinnamon, delicious. A protein English muffin. Take the English muffin, a little bit of Greek yogurt, a little bit of a whey protein powder or a plant-based protein powder of your choice. Make it into that same little bit of a pudding, spread it right on top of the English muffin. It's absolutely delicious. It's fun, it's sweet, and it gives you a little bit of fiber as well from that English muffin. So really, really useful snacks that you can think about instead. So as usual, like, subscribe, click the notifications, smash it, love it, do whatever you want to do. Share it. Share it around with friends and family. Share it around with people who eat too many protein bars. Share it to the person who you bought your protein bars from, your particular protein bar dealer, whoever that is. So that's what's up with protein bars. What's up with you today, YouTube?